Las Vegas and the rest of the world to my Voluptuous life. We're still with the amazing Miss Melissa Shanta. Well, that was really emotional in the first segment, but that was empowering. That was liberating. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. For those who just joined us, let me see who has joined us. I cannot see it actually. I'm so not techy in terms of social media. I would ask my producer to kind of give me how to read all my viewers. Anyways, so we were talking in the first segment about Melissa, her story of being homeless and was able to get out of that situation at the same time, and then she shared with us her decision to just move on, wherever she was, and at that time she moved from another state, and it's a very extraordinary story. And then she's on her 30s and so on and so forth. And then now let's not waste any time. We are going to talk about a little sensitive topic, but we're going to put a little lighter on that one. We're going to talk about freedom of sexuality. And before I interview her, I actually asked her if this is okay for me to share her own opinions and issues on sexuality. And yes, I want her to do the shout out, not me. So we embrace you, whatever you are, whoever you are, on the Voluptuous. We are embracing everybody, whatever they are, and we are so proud. We are so humbled and very happy to have her with us today. Go ahead, you have the stage, my dear. We're talking about freedom of sexuality. When did you embrace that freedom of sexuality? What age, and when did you? And however you want to share it.
Yeah, the question earlier. It all started really, I remember when I was maybe about 5 years old, when my family and I actually lived in Pennsylvania before we moved down south. I remember at least once or twice, because my biological mom had worked at a daycare center that I went to for a little while. And I remember, sitting in the boys' bathroom a couple times, pants down around my ankles, sitting on the toilet, crying, wondering why I couldn't stand up the other way to pee.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that was fun. That was like a little.
I know it's maybe TMI, but that's how I discovered that.
That's actually the most natural story how to tell it all. Right. I always have stories coming from another perspective, but this is a new way of me listening to someone like Melissa. Actually embracing her sexuality, for that matter, and like earlier we had a very, very good conversation on different kinds of. We're gonna talk about this as objectively as we are. She told me about definitions of different kinds of genders and preferences. So let's start it out. When you say when a person is bisexual, that means that
the stereotype is that they're only attracted to biological males and biological females.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's bisexual.
Yes. And I'm pansexual.
That is interesting. I've never heard that before. I'm so sorry. I'm so clueless, but this is a good way of educating us. Pansexual. So
yes. That's basically bisexuality, but expanded to include any gender. Like if you said you were that Cher's uncle, I was still, if I found you attractive, well, that's fine. Or if you were transgendered, or if you were kind of thinking about being.
So you could get attracted. You would get attracted to a transgender male. Transgender become a female.
Yes. So
is that sexually, internally, or just outward?
Anything. Really,
because very revealing.
Because to me, sexuality for a pansexual is blind, I guess. Like you can, sexuality is not cut and dry, in my opinion. Mine isn't.
When this word was coined? What generation?
I'm actually not sure.
Pansexuality.
Because I'm actually not sure, but I did research on myself to figure out. Because I normally don't like labels, but if I had to put one on myself, it would be pansexual. So I ended up looking myself up online, if that makes sense. I had to Google things that.
Is that from the perspective of a woman, of a physical woman? Or is this a pansexual? It's a general term from all sides.
For anybody, it can. You don't have to be what they call a genetic woman or man to have this feeling. You could be a transgender woman and be pansexual.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm also very get educated with this type of conversation, and I was really telling her, let's talk about this. I think a lot of people would learn from it. Like, sometimes some people are kind of afraid to get into these topics, but my program, my Voluptuous Life, is actually embracing everything on it. What other terminologies? Like sometimes you hear terminologies like metrosexual. So how do you define metrosexuality?
Metrosexuality, from what I understand, doesn't really have to deal with sexuality in general, because you can be gay, straight, whatever you feel like you are, and still be a metrosexual. That tends to, because you can be a transgender male and technically be a metrosexual, because it's defined by how you take care of your physical self as a man. That just means, I'm trying to think of a way to say it. That just means that you look after your appearance more. You like to fix your hair every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I was called
being flamboyant or something.
Not really flamboyant, but just how you take care of yourself physically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're kind of high maintenance, pretty much, if you're a male, metrosexual.
What other terms that we need to know about being in terms of gender? Like we have pansexual with metrosexual. I would be very honest. My orientation from a female perspective, genetically, our terminologies like butch, bifem. Honestly, those are my terminologies that I've learned, and it's so revealing that I come to this pansexual, this type of words or these types of preferences, and it's very educational. So they still use these slangs now, like butches and bifems or
tends to be slang
from a male perspective. You call it as by male. I don't know how they call it, but are these like considered slangs now?
Yeah, there are certain slang words that get thrown around. Just like I just started the word, for example, the word fag. Some gays actually love that word and they use it on themselves.
But some are like,
some get offended.
With that one.
Yeah, some get offended. Some love like the homo word. Sometimes I call myself a homo.
Okay.
It's just to me joking, but some people can still get offended by it. It just depends on the person and what words they like to use for themselves. There's so many labels out there now that sometimes we even come up with our own words, or we discover certain terms are used to describe people.
You would even imagine how Filipinos even describe homosexuality, or in a very fun, even very flamboyant way.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm actually have friends. I don't know if they're watching right now. Her name, they are involved in the LGBT community here. Very much involved. Actually, I'm going to introduce Melissa too. How do you see the LGBT community in Las Vegas? Like, let's see, since you moved from another state, how would you describe the acceptance, or let's say the open-mindedness of people from Pennsylvania to here?
How would I compare?
Were you more welcome here or welcome there, or vice versa?
I don't know on it, because I think that gayness in general and the stereotypical flamboyance is kind of accepted here, because there's always a big mix of people in Vegas, because you rarely find what do they call it, a native of Las Vegas. So it's such a mixing bowl here in Vegas that a lot of things are mixed together, and a lot of different types of people mixed together. So it's not as much of a big deal here as it is maybe in like the Bible Belt or a southern state. Philadelphia was also a melting pot of different types of people. You had different ethnicities. And they actually
were they welcoming there?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, mostly. And there's actually a gayborhood in Philadelphia.
Gayborhood. That's a fun way of looking at it.
And it's funny though, if you actually go towards the downtown area, there's actually a for real gayborhood, to where if you looked up at the street signs, you see little gay rainbows.
That's
on the street
awesome.
sign.
Like, you know,
and I loved it.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, we were for those who just tune in. I don't have any. I don't know who you are, but thank you so much for watching us. This is the second segment of My Voluptuous Live. We're with Melissa right now. We're talking about freedom of sexuality, her being proud to be gay or and in her own sexuality, but she considers herself a pansexual. So those who have just tuned in and you think you are that too, or what, however you want to view yourself, you're free and welcome to write your comments. We will be together still for one segment. We'll be talking about a certain topic that we're talking about, but you're so welcome to like give your comments, questions, or anything you want to ask Melissa, or you wanted to view some comments that you want to share to our audience. So this is Wawa, and you're watching My Voluptuous Live with my amazing guest, Miss Melissa Shana. Thank you. See ya.